please hit that subscribe button. Hey everybody, better suited to win the Stanley Cup this season. If you are new to the channel, Washington Capitals, the Boston Bruins.
Locked on and he scored! And we're live.
Hey everybody, we're back here for another collab video, this time talking about the Colorado Avalanche. Obviously, I got my Cale Makar jersey out for this one, and I am joined by Billy from the Off Brand Avalanche Podcast, who I was just on with the other day, so you guys definitely are going to want to go check that out. His link to the channel will be in the description. As always, hit that subscribe button for him, and definitely check out he's got some awesome podcasts up just talking about the Avalanche and their team this season. So I want to thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Of course. First thing, before I look forward to the playoffs, I always like to look back. And the Avs this season, obviously very good year, second in the Western Conference. But as someone who gets to see the Avs on a regular basis and watch this team night in and night out, just what were your impressions of them this year, and how good is this Avalanche team?
Yeah, I mean, this is the best Avalanche team we've had in Colorado in a long time, really, since the kind of early 2000s era with the Sakic's and Forsberg ended. This is the best we've been. And the big story has been the additions in the middle six. You know, we've always had that three-headed monster up top with McKinnon, Landeskog, and Rantanen, but our depth fell off pretty quickly. And then this offseason, we brought in guys like Andrei Burakovsky, Nazem Kadri, even Jonas Donskoy. Val Nichushkin has been a revelation. So we've had a lot of injuries this year, but because of all those additions, we've been able to get through and still make it out as one of the better teams in the NHL. Just we actually have secondary scoring now, which is different than the years past.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And one thing I think's interesting with the Avalanche this year has been the goaltending, because obviously Grubauer's missed time, and Pavel Francouz actually played really well when he was in for a lot of the time that he was in the net. And Grubauer is brought in to be that starter. And he's had good stretches and he's had not so good stretches. What do you think about the goaltending there? And is that something that's kind of a bit of a question mark heading into the playoffs?
Definitely, yeah. That's it's one of the things that you'll hear Avs fans talking about quite a bit is who gets the start in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. It will probably be Grubauer, at least to start, but that leash is going to be really short because, like you said, Francouz has played so well throughout the season. He looked like one of the better starters around the league, at least numbers-wise, when he was playing. A part of that is a little inflated because he was playing, some of the weaker teams, as well as just one really hot stretch that elevated him. But He has been definitely a big find for us coming into this year. We had him for a couple games last year coming up from the AHL, but full-time in the NHL this year, and he's definitely done his job. Yeah,
absolutely, for sure. So now looking ahead into the playoffs, the Avs, they're the second seed. Obviously, they have to play the round robin to determine their final seeding for the postseason. But one of the best teams in the West and in the league, without a doubt. Obviously, I think this team is a legitimate Stanley Cup threat. Just how far do you think this team can go, and what's the outlook like heading into the postseason?
I mean, yeah, you said it. I think that this year we do have a legit shot to go all the way and take the Stanley Cup. It's going to take a lot from pretty much everyone. Everyone's got to step up. Nathan McKinnon is the kind of guy who, in the playoffs, elevates his game to that next level that is almost unbelievable. A guy already playing at such a high level, just taking another step. But we need the whole team kind of getting on board with that. So hopefully, Cale Makar can take that next step. The goaltending really needs to step up because as good as they have been at times, they're still not, one of the better tandems around the league. They're somewhere between average and above average. So if we can get them playing to really high-end goaltender level, we could definitely push some teams. And I think the round robin is going to be really interesting. I want to see how everyone comes off this kind of extended off-season type thing we've got going on, as well as how seriously everyone takes it. I'm sure they'll take it fairly seriously, but will they take it as seriously as some of the play-in teams will? And what do those games look like? Does it look like playoff hockey or does it look like regular season hockey?
Yeah, that's a really interesting point that you bring up. Is we know that the play-in round that's playoff hockey. That's going to be fighting for their lives to go on in the playoffs. What we don't know so much is the round robin. How much do these teams really care if they're that one seed, or are they just going to be kind of trying to just get their game back and kind of going through the motions just to get playoff ready? I think that's a really interesting point as to, what are those round robin games going to look like, and just how intense is it going to be, and how much is it going to, get you ready for playoff hockey, or how much is it maybe going to be like kind of just a warm up?
Mm-hmm. And like, maybe do we cycle in some other players? Is this where we try and solve that Grubauer-Francouz debate? Do we give them each a couple games, or do we pick our guy and roll with them? And then we've had some on the bottom six. We have some guys kind of fighting for jobs there. So do we give some guys a shot that might not be playing in the playoffs, or do we treat it like this is win or you're out? Or, how seriously do we take it? What do we do?
Yeah, for sure. I know, being a Bruins fan, Bruce Cassidy has talked about kind of cycling some guys in and out of the lineup in those few games. And it seems I feel like every team, it might be different, but there's definitely some thoughts that you could see guys kind of in and out of the lineup and just trying to get guys ready more so than going out there and fighting 100% for that number one spot.
Definitely.
So something I always like to ask, this is more so of the play-in teams, but even of the top teams, is who's a team coming out of those play-in games in the West that you would not want to face in the first round? Like, oh God, I don't want to play them.
Okay. So there are not too many teams that really scare me coming out of the play-in. The teams that I would be worried about running into are the ones we're playing in the round robin. Yep. But I will say Edmonton is a little bit scarier. They were a team kind of surging towards the end of the year, maybe almost made a run to kind of push Dallas out of the top four. Yep. They once they started playing like McDavid and Draisaitl a little bit separately, kind of balanced their lines. They looked like a solid team. They brought in AA at the trade deadline, so they're definitely a team to watch for me. I think that could be interesting to see how good they are, and definitely if there's a team I could pick not to play, it'd be them.
Yeah, any team with a two-headed monster like McDavid and Saddle is not a fun team.
That's something.
So on the other end of things, is there any of those play-in teams that you look at and you just go, piece of cake, we'll easily walk through them. I hope we get them and play them.
Okay, so I don't know necessarily that I want to play them because they'd be the easiest, but I really think one of the most entertaining series to watch that we could also take down would be Vancouver. Mm-hmm. I think, you get to see Hughes and the Hughes-Makar debate in action in the playoffs. You also get to see just high-end skilled players like Elias Pettersson with Nathan McKinnon, and you got some great wings there like Brock Besser. I think it'd be a real fun series to watch. I think it'd be some high-intensity hockey, and it's definitely one that I'm looking forward to, and I hope we get to see play out.
Oh, yeah, I could not agree with you more on that. That would be an incredibly fun series to watch, without a doubt. Yeah. So for the Avalanche here, heading into the postseason, are there any players that stand out to you? Obviously, we know McKinnon is a superstar up front, Makar on the back end, but are there any kind of X-factor players who really stick out as they have to perform well for this team to go forward and go deep into the playoffs this year, outside of maybe those top superstar guys?
Yeah, definitely. I know I already touched a little bit on the goalies, so I won't go too much deeper into that, but definitely we need the goaltending to be as good as it can be. Other than that, I think Andrei Burakovsky is definitely a guy to look at. Had a 20-goal season this year. Looks like he could have, if he can kind of keep that up, get some goal scoring in for us, a lot of goal scoring from the second line, I think he could be a major X factor for us.
For sure. And he had a pretty good year this year, as a lot of those kind of second and third line type guys really stepped up for the Avs, and when they needed the most this year, with all the injuries that they had. So one last thing, prediction time. If I'm asking you to predict the playoffs right now, how deep do the Avalanche go? And, just what's your final prediction?
Okay, so as much as I want to say they win the Stanley Cup, we actually did we did a podcast where we predicted the entire playoffs. And we got the Avs into the Stanley Cup final, and then we looked at some of the teams coming out of the East, and we were like, this looks like the East year. So I'm going to stick with that. I'm going to say the Avs make a run to the Cup final, but whether it's the Lightning or the Bruins or maybe even the Capitals, someone in the East is gonna shut us down right there. So as much as I hate to say it, I'm gonna say we're one step short.
All right. Well, I could see that happening for sure. I could see the Avs winning, but I also think the East is particularly strong this year for sure. So that's going to do it, guys, for this video. Thank you so much again, Billy, for coming on. Really, really appreciate it.
No problem. Love to be here.
Guys, definitely you're going to want to check out the Off Brand Avs podcast. I'll, again, linked in the description. You guys can just click and go check it out right there. And with that, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description. If you'd like to further support the channel, donation link, Patreon, and merchandise store down in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.